was going to go by my phone. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you to the February 10th, 2020 Board of Trustees meeting. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we proceed on to the agenda part of our workshop part of our session here, Chief Maslock would like to make a presentation, special presentation tonight.
This evening I'm going to call Officer Zach Hand up with me, along with Mr. and Mrs. Cunningham and their son, Darian Fisher. There did come a time on December 14th in the early morning hours when Officer Hand was on foot patrol in the downtown business district, and Mr. Booker had become injured, a severe laceration to his right bicep. The award reads as follows. On December 14th, 2019, while on foot patrol in the downtown area, Officer Hand did meritoriously demonstrate exceptional ability, personal initiative, and strong dedication to duty by administering first aid to a subject who had fallen through a plate glass window, sustaining a severe laceration to his upper bicep. Officer Hand did place a tourniquet on the subject, stopping the bleeding and ultimately saving the subject's life. Retired Chief Myers came up with this award prior to his retirement, but was unable to be here tonight to issue the award. So on behalf of the Fredonia Police Department and the parents and Mr. Booker behind me, we present you with that award. This is the pin that goes along with it. And Mrs. Cunningham has a few words she'd like to share as well. Stay right there.
I'm keeping mine short. It just says, my well-behaved firstborn gave me the confidence to be a good mother. My wild child secondborn taught me to not judge other parents. This saying is 100% accurate in my parenting experience. As a professional helicopter parent, I never really thought I would have to rely on anyone else to protect my child. I've always worried that I would, but prayed that I would not get the call in the middle of the night that every parent fears. At 1:26 a.m. on December 14th, 2019, I got that call, except he was alive, primarily because of the immediate actions of Officer Hand. From the depths of my soul, I am forever grateful to you that not only you protected my son for me, but you stepped in and applied the tourniquet that saved his life. And I am greatly appreciative of that, so thank you.
Officer Hand, on behalf of the village, I'd like to also thank you for your service and your heroic deed and act that night. So thank you very much. And I will also have a proclamation for you as well. But thank you very much, Chief.
Thank you.
Before we go on today, we have to enter into any,
Matt Brown talk first.
I don't think this was a presentation.
Okay.
No, it's not.
I thought he wanted to ask or talk to us about something.
We can discuss that later on.
There's some things we need to discuss, actually,
Okay.
part of the,
Okay.
what he wants to do, has to be
Okay.
more detailed.
Who's the next to him?
You do? Okay, make a motion to go into executive session, discuss a particular person, position, and employment.
There's been a motion to enter into executive session to discuss the employment of a specific person. Is there a second? Second by Trustee Bashaw. Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Britz?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos? Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Carried. We'll be right back, folks. Okay, thank you. We'll start this workshop session. Review of resolutions. Resignation letter from Brent Johnson. Any discussion, any questions? Anyone over there?
Well, there's going to be some changes to the resolution.
Okay,
And the changes to the resolution will be that he'll be, that he'll be appointed on a part-time basis, starting the 16th of the month, the day after he resigned from his full-time position, and his pay rate would be $16 an hour.
okay. Bach Festival fundraiser. Any questions, any comments?
Every year,
Okay,
I believe.
yep. Annual request from the Farmers Market Committee, separate resolution for a concert. Any comments and concerns? Anything from the farmers market on that you need to address? Okay, thank you. Resolution for procedural amendment. Any discussion, any questions?
Yeah, a little discussion.
Okay,
I know it's a change, and I'm okay with some change, if it makes things, if everybody's looking to make it, things work a little smoother. I think that the idea would be to, is maybe giving the attorney a little extra time would be probably a better idea, but, you know, it'd be nice to have the attorney have extra time for reviewing the subjects, but overall, that should be fine.
Yeah, I thought we gave him an extra day.
The resolution as it appears this evening, the changes that Anne Marie and I suggested
Yes,
have been
I'm-
incorporated. So we're
They have?
good. Yes.
Okay.
It appears that they have, yes.
I guess, okay, thank you. Thanks for clarifying that. I guess I missed that one. Thank you, because I thought about it, I thought about it earlier, and when I saw it before, so,
Right.
okay.
Right. This addition has been amended.
abstract number 521. Oh, I'm sorry.
In regards to number 8, the public portion of the meeting,
Oh, I'm not-
I had suggested before that maybe we ought to look at doing what they do at the school, whereas the public portion in the beginning is for audience members to address anything on the agenda, and specifically on the agenda if they want to address something, and then have one at the very end of the meeting in case the resident wants to bring up any concern, idea, whatever, that may not be germane to what we're working on today. And if you read it, it's supposed to be germane, so does that, you know, if somebody has a great idea, does that mean they can't bring it up because it's
No,
not?
that just means,
Go ahead.
I think what it just means is that they can't bring up something that we it doesn't have anything to do with any of our business, whatever that might be. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that we're doing now or currently.
Okay.
So that's my understanding.
And this
Something we can.
last
can act on.
portion was not changed, it was just, it's what is currently.
I know
So,
that.
yeah.
And are we going to adhere to the 3 to 5 minutes for the open portion? It states in there, so I just wanted to make sure that we're,
Attorney Guard.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, just so we're all on the same page, this language, we didn't have any when I came on as a village attorney in regard to what was, involved in the public portion of the meeting. So what I did, from my prior experience with the city of Dunkirk, is I basically took the language that had worked there for decades and just wrote it for the village of Fredonia, which is where all these things come from. The 3 to 5 minutes, the idea of the discussion being germane. I also suggested this, and it was implemented in the village of Silver Creek, the idea being if a member of the public wants to come in and talk about global warming, this board doesn't have anything to do with global warming. So that would not be germane to the discussion. That's all that means.
okay.
Any other further discussion? Move on to number 5, abstract number 521, approval. Any discussions? Any questions? Number 6, amendment to account clerk position. Any discussion?
Yeah.
It's just a start date, right?
Yes, that's correct. The original resolution said effective immediately, but she was unable to start immediately. She started on the 3rd of February, so it's just to clean that up.
Any further discussion? Number 7, informal bids on vehicles. Some vehicles here from the DPW are for sale.
I have a question about that. It jumps between that and the new business. Can I do that? The fire tanker, how come it wasn't part of those bids on vehicles and equipment that we're getting rid of? How come it's not going out to, in that manner?
Chief Walker?
It can be added to that. There was an offer that was put in 2 years ago when we started looking for a tanker of a significant bid, and then the gentleman rebid under new business at a lower, being the truck is out of its service life. So I feel that it should be added to.
So can we add that to that resolution at this point, the tanker truck?
That would be my recommendation.
Yes. Okay.
Unless the board is comfortable with the offer that was presented.
Did we get that?
Have you given us anything? Have you given us that information?
Do we have one?
Yeah,
How much?
Do you
It
have
was
it?
given to the clerk last week.
yes.
I
have that information.
And
See what it is.
further discussion, what you were talking
We have
about.
that information.
I thought maybe in the future, we could use an online bidding process. We brought this up last year. There's a couple of different
We just added
companies
that
that
to the list,
auction off municipal equipment in New York State. And, yeah, I've used them myself for other things, and I know it gets it out there a little bit more, so we might get a bigger bang for our buck on certain things, so. So I thought maybe in the future, we could put them out to bid with one of these services, and it doesn't cost anything to the village.
How do we do it now?
Well,
We just, and that's it? So what year is that tanker, right?
Do we have information to add to that?
Can we add that? 1990,
Roger's reading the resolution. So he'll read what it is, but it is the 1990.
Roger, you
Tanker?
just add the 1990 the tanker truck to that list?
No, it doesn't have any VIN information other than.
No, it doesn't?
L800.
I can get you all the information.
We don't need the bid note for the resolution.
No.
That's not required, as long as we
Okay.
just reasonably identify the vehicle.
So if you say 1990.
1990 L800.
8,000, 4 guys tanker pumper.
L8000 tanker pumper,
Yeah, that'd be good.
It's a Ford L8.
Ford.
What's 4 guys? Is that like a custom company?
4 cabin chassis, 4 guys, tank and
What if it's a female?
pump. Name of their it's the name of the
That's-
apparatus manufacturer.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
Okay, we'll add that item to the list for informal bids on vehicles.
You can take it, yep. go ahead.
Number 8, village treasurer. Any discussion? Any questions, any comments?
Yeah, hold on.
The fact that Jim hasn't resigned his position, I think we put in the cart before the horse. And I don't think we should be doing this until we've had the discussion with him.
Talk about the changes.
And I think that at the same time, we certainly can have a discussion with Jim, but we talked about the fact that we wanted to bring somebody in to work with our treasurer during the budget process. And the budget process has begun, and now is the time in order to train them with the person who's doing the job. Otherwise, they either lose the opportunity for that training, or we back it up longer than I think we should.
And I think that as trustees, one of the most important jobs of a trustee is to oversee the budget and make sure we have a proper budget, and to have someone, when the opportunity to train that person presents itself, is when you have to take that opportunity. So that's why.
Any further discussion?
There is a couple of changes to the resolution that's on there. The word temporarily is removed. The word vacancy is removed. The word or co-administration is removed. And when it says municipal experience, it shouldn't be required, it should be desired.
Okay. Any further discussion? We'll move on to B, new business. We already covered the fire tanker. Number 2, fire sprinkler system quote from Davis Almer. You have the information on that. Any questions or concerns? Fredonia Chamber of Commerce Small Business Revolution Rally for March 6th. And Fredonia, that's postponed. Number 3 is postponed. So the Fredonia Chamber of Commerce Small Business Revolution Rally for March 6th. We received some information on that. Would anybody from the audience like to speak on that? Behalf, please.
Hi, Larry Bureau, part of the Small Business Revolution Committee. We're upon resolution approval, we will acquire all of the necessary legal liquor applications that we need to get from New York State. That'll allow us the one-day temporary liquor license for beer and wine sales. That is the intention of this. The other intention is to have Temple Street be the main focus for the stage that's in the resolution, because we want to make it safer for Ty and Amanda to come out of the Opera House right onto the stage. And it's easier to do it right there and then have all of the other activities happening on Church Street between Temple and Day, just to give you a better understanding of that.
There's another meeting before this event should happen. So I don't know if it necessarily has to go through today. But I do have concern with number 6, as far as the suspension of the open container law throughout the village. Traditionally, we've been identifying specifically where those areas would be, and they would be defined in some way.
Yeah.
This doesn't necessarily clarify that, and I'm not comfortable with that.
Okay, it should define it as, Church Street obviously is one, that may not be defined that well. Church Street's one area. We are going to be cordoning off areas per New York State liquor laws
I think that's
in that area.
what our question
Yes.
was, yeah.
And then we've also had demarcation points where there are trash receptacles placed outside of businesses, that they cannot go beyond those trash receptacles of those businesses, similar to what we do for red, white, and blues.
But it has to be described, because there can't be any confusion, and the public really has to know that, because if the public doesn't know it, then they're going to say, well, how am I supposed to know this? You know, and I'm just out drinking because I hear it's a free-for-all, basically, you know, you can go anywhere in the village.
When Roger reads it, can
so-
you just add those things?
Is this much different spelled out than when you do it in red, white, and blues in front of the establishments?
Not really, no.
Well,
It's the same.
I know that for the Italian festival, they were told they have to have a certain tent.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
it
so
was
does
very.
New York State,
It was
same
very,
thing.
it was very specific.
So when we go through the application process with New York State, we have to identify the area that's going to be cordoned off for that.
So you could state that as identified per New York State regulations? What?
Just add that.
Attorney Guard.
Attorney Guard, yeah.
When the application comes back, it's going to be explained in that
Well,
application
yeah,
where we're
but-
going to be and how we're going to do,
I'm
how we're
sorry.
going to conduct.
Just a suggestion.
Okay.
We could solve this and a couple other problems by after the be it further resolved, this resolution is subject to receipt. In that paragraph, if we can just add one sentence, subject to village code. Because the village code specifically requires additional information in the application that's going to cover a lot of this stuff.
Yep.
Okay.
And so that would be so easy just to say, put another sentence on there, just basically at the end of, where it says at least 1 million, just say, and subject to, all other village code requirements.
Okay.
And also know that you're going to get an extra couple layers
All
of protection.
other village code requirements?
All or other?
We'll just say all,
All.
All?
yeah. Because
all-
that just keeps it easy. Because we do have a application process, and
We do,
where all
right.
these questions will be answered during that process.
That'd be helpful.
I do
Thank
it.
you.
And then what we need to do is we need to vote on that application, the board needs to vote on that application specifically,
Oh, so that would have to be prepared before the next meeting, so it would have to be done for the next meeting.
Right, because we can't pass a resolution subject to and then just say, okay,
Yeah,
guess
right.
what?
Right,
So-
exactly.
Right.
It's
So-
about a 2-week process
so
for
you-
that, so
Right,
we have
it
to
is.
start this right away.
So
Yes.
you'll have that then prepared so that we can have that for the next meeting?
Will
Yeah.
that give you
If-
enough time?
It should be. We should get 10 to 14 days. Usually it's 10 to 14 days, so I'm hoping that we get it within the 10
Okay.
days. It takes that long. That's just the state.
Do you have the application from the village?
No,
that-
we're filling it out now.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you have it?
Yeah.
All right.
A couple concerns. I talked with Chief Mashlock. Actually, I didn't talk to Chief Walker, but I'm sure you're going to echo these concerns. I'll go in order. Number 2, close Water Street between Main and the Canadaway Creek Bridge. I think we'd rather have it between Main and Canadaway Street so that any emergency vehicles can go Canadaway and out water. So I think that's.
I'm fine
I think
with that.
we-
That's good, yeah.
I think that's what they do for Red, White,
Yep,
and Blues.
yep.
Number 4, we can't close Temple Street. That's the main access to the college and anything going that way. If there was a fire, the trucks would have to go up West Hill, down around Risley.
That could be a problem. That could be problematic for the production team.
Basically, we could close both sides of Church, just like we do for the Farm
All
Festival,
the festivals like that, yeah.
but
That's,
What do you,
That's a
tell,
tough
like,
one.
that's
tell us what
tough.
you're,
The
like,
stage would
walk
be.
us through it.
The state, we would close the street from basically the end of Village Hall to Main Street to put the stage on Temple.
So it would be like where the Farm Festival viewings thing is, like around
Well,
there.
you know, when the Farm Festival, we put it at the end of Day Street and go that way with it.
Right.
This is putting it at Temple, on Temple Street, facing out towards the parks. So that it makes, so that the
I
production team
gotcha.
has enough room to do what
Okay.
they need to do.
what if you used that side of Church Street, Church, Park, and that big area in front of like Aloe Vera all the way to Center Street?
They'll be coming out of Village Hall. So the idea is to get them out of Village Hall onto the stage as quickly as possible.
I don't know, it's tough, shut
I
down
know.
Temple Street at 5 o'clock on a Friday.
How about we
know.
just don't have any emergencies that day? No emergencies, no fires allowed.
Take note of that, Ryan.
Want me to call forward?
Yes.
Unfortunately, I don't think we just can't do it.
I think at the very least then, we'd have to go back to the production team, is putting it right in front of Village Hall. Where they would walk out of Village Hall doors and onto the stage.
We close,
Well, yeah, we're
I mean,
close
literally,
Church-
we could
yeah.
That'd be Church
That's on
Street.
there,
amend
close.
that to shut this
Yeah,
area
Church
down.
Street's easy between Day and Temple.
I'm
You
I'm
just got
looking
Day
at
to Temple, you don't want the other side?
Larry, do they need to come out of the Village Hall?
Yep. That's what they wanted to do, they want to come right out of Village Hall.
Right down the front steps.
Well, we could do down the front steps, they would have preferred to do it on Temple, but
Yeah, I
that's
don't know.
not a
That's a
possibility.
tough one to
I know.
close.
You won't need the other side?
no.
I think we're gonna have to try to make
I
that
mean,
work.
what do you guys think?
I mean,
I was specifically concerned about the fire trucks not being able to get
Yeah.
down Temple and taking the long route around.
I'm also concerned about the 5 o'clock traffic on a Friday.
Well, you flush traffic out of Temple Street, which has traffic lights to help control it.
Right.
You're gonna run into a lot of backup, especially on each side trying to get out onto Main Street. That's my thought.
Because I know you have businesses right around here that have employees that leave at 5 o'clock, and, you know, that's part of,
Plus, you had all the extra traffic coming into town for this event.
For the event,
Parking
right.
and everything else, so it'll be, you're already adding to an already busy
Can't we just
traffic
have
flow.
police
Right.
out about traffic?
it's a long time to have them out rerouting traffic. I mean, we do it for parades, when there's a parade, but that's a very limited time.
it's an hour.
Yeah.
Well, the
Parades
thing
aren't very
is,
big.
too,
I know, that's what I was just telling Doug.
the rally's gonna
10
be from
minutes.
Yeah,
6 to
15
9.
minutes, I think, was my parade last year.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the rally's gonna be from 6 to 9. Once 9 o'clock hits, they're gonna start breaking down everything. Because then it moves out to the businesses and the establishments. That's what it's intended to do, is to help the businesses get more business. So that's gonna be broken down, probably by 10 is what I'm thinking.
Well, that's, I'm just wondering, are you gonna
It's
have
still
enough room?
4 hours.
Are you gonna have enough room if we
in
just do
front of
this
it,
side?
Yeah.
Or should we have the other
I
side
think we
too?
will. That was the problem.
We had well over 600 people
That's what I'm thinking. Because you could have some of your stuff on the other side.
And they're looking at the businesses, you could be looking at over 1,000 people. And then you're gonna have them on this side, they're gonna be walking into Temple Street.
It's a logistical challenge for us, yes.
Do you want us to amend this to say, Church Street from day to park, just in case you need it? And it's already been approved? No, close Church Street, Church Street.
Yeah.
Close Church from, instead of just day to Temple, day to
Yeah,
park.
You can do that.
Maybe we could, just for.
Just in case?
Just logistically for the production crews. that they
Yeah,
can
even if
set
they're
up
trucks and
anything.
stuff, if they need place.
Yeah, they can park their trucks
Yeah.
there. What do you think of that? Make sense?
Any other comments?
Whatever's gonna work the best for everybody, I guess, is what we have to do. I don't know. I don't know if we have another option.
If I,
Go
Phil,
ahead.
Chief Modulite and I were just talking, the only other option I would have to get up that section is if we leave Day Street open here.
Yeah.
And no parking whatsoever on the entire street all the way through from Main to Central.
That way you have
Then
clear
we would
access.
have access, emergency access through to that part of the town.
So you'd have to bag it or whatever by the park here, plus all the way down,
There
no
would be,
parking?
yeah, there would be no on-street parking from
Right.
Main Street all the way down.
That wouldn't be so
There's no
bad.
bagging beyond here. There's no parking.
I mean, just for,
Signs from the
There's no meters, but there's parking.
Right.
That's not so bad.
and as long as we give
That sounds good.
people enough notice
Mm-hmm.
But we
to
still
make
have,
arrangements.
we still have the issue of traffic coming off there, not going through a signal. So keep that in mind as well.
Right.
So
If
we-
we're expecting that many people
Main to
and that much traffic flow, I can make arrangements to try to get the county's traffic control team in to help out with traffic control going out on the main street.
That would probably be a good idea.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that would free up the option of shutting down Temple if you had Day Street totally cleared.
And that'd be a big assistance
and
to our
fire
police department.
Right.
With the intersections of Central and Temple.
Yeah.
You, both of you gentlemen think that's a viable, we could make that work?
As long as we didn't have parking on there, I mean, we can bring them back of Lambert here and back around Central and Temple and get them off. This way.
DPW can put signs out.
Or with the,
Sure they can.
They should be able to, they have those no parking signs
Right.
that they use for the farm festival.
Right,
Right.
right.
Okay.
I guess it would just be educating the public as well that at this time.
probably we should do a few press releases. I don't know if they would have to come from Chief Moshlock or from the mayor, just letting
have to
people
be
know what's the changes are gonna be for that night. And if you don't have to come through Fredonia, if you're not coming to the festival, go around.
Well, it'd have to be, I think it would have to be a resolution on the board to have no parking on that street for that time period.
So we could do that at the next
At the
meeting.
next meeting with the other thing.
We could do that next meeting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
One other thing on here, number 8, close the alleyway between D. Johnson and Ellicottville Brewery, I don't think that's a problem. But then you have from Fred's to Eagle Street.
Right.
And I think in the past, or for Red, White, and Blues, we close it from Water to just past Fred's, which allows that, all that parking.
Essentially, yeah.
So
yeah.
that's where we like to keep it
Yeah.
at.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
you don't wanna
It's
close
very
down the
similar to
parking
red, white, and blues.
okay.
So it'll just say from water to.
From water to the end of,
Fred's.
it's mudslingers,
So-
basically.
lot. Yeah, that's,
And I'm gonna put from, what's it called?
Mudslingers.
Mudslingers.
From
It's
water
the
to
pot.
From
mudslingers,
water to
okay.
muds, so,
Yeah, from Water Street to,
from Water Street to mudslingers?
It's on the other side of Fred's.
Because Fred's, and then there's
So
mudslingers.
you're not talking the whole park of this?
No, because people are still gonna park in there. They still have
that's
access
true.
off Eagle
because
Street.
we're probably gonna need that parking.
Okay, so that's gonna be changed from water to,
And I think it says on the or the write-up that there will be access to cars from Eagle Street.
It did,
But
but
it's
if
not
you're,
specific
if
to
you're
saying
closing
that.
the whole thing off, I just thought it was gonna make
Okay.
for a big traffic jam, probably. Other than that, and those are the concerns I talked with Chief Moshlock. So I think we got everything.
Any
So
other
that-
concerns, trustees?
No.
Hey,
Ask her what we can do. We gotta just,
Oh, okay.
We'll leave though, closing church all the way through, just so that you got that.
Yeah, might as well, yeah, because logistically, they may
I
need
read
that
it,
space
but not-
just for their
you know what I mean?
equipment.
I didn't see through a fine tooth, so I
Come on,
have to do
guys.
that.
Okay, it's cleared up. You're welcome. Any other new
Thank you.
business?
One other thing I might want to consider coming down the road here, I know we've talked about it in the past about making donations to Festivals Committee and making donations to the Farm Festival and other festivals in our committee. I'd like to talk to the board at some time of possibly looking at putting in a donation to the Small Business Revolution for all their hard work and dedication. I know being part of that board, a lot of the costs were shared amongst small businesses and donations and private donations. I know as part of our, to be part of a trustee, and one of our duties and descriptions is also to promote well-being and provide a safe place for people to have entertainment in the park. If we go back through some of the things that we've talked about in the past, I know we talked about possibly having some money in the budget for future things. I'd like to see the board maybe consider some sort of donation for the festivals or possibly the Small Business Revolution for all their hard work. So I'd like to maybe put together a resolution for next meeting to see if we can make a donation.
And I know they already made a donation by approving a $500 permit fee that was waived, yeah, so that was a significant donation already by the people of the community.
But you know what, though, if you really look at the media coverage and the spotlight that this has already brought to Fredonia, I can't imagine that businesses have suffered at all. I believe this is something that's,
Well over $20,000 that came from small businesses, private individuals. And our well is running dry to get that money for.
It's my understanding.
All these rallies have to be paid for. All of our time is volunteered. But who else can we go to for another 12?
You're talking the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce.
The committee.
Is that the Chamber of Commerce?
no.
It's
So it's a group of 20
representation from all over the village.
from all over the village. We have private donations. We have a lot of in-kind donations to just get to this point.
My understanding, we can approve such a donation if it's promoting the village, and I can't think of anything that's happened in my lifetime that even compares with this. So I think we should, if we could do something, I think we should do it.
Okay, that'll be something to consider for next meeting. Thank you, Larry. Any other new business? Old business, Matthew Brown Eagle Scout Project. Any, Matthew? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, great, thank you very much.
Thank you, Matthew.
Yeah, you do have to, we did the two-part.
My name is Matthew Brown, and I'm a Boy Scout in Troop 267. I'm currently a Life Scout, and for my next rank, Eagle Scout, I need to do a service project and lead the service project, organize it. I was hoping to do something to benefit Russell Joy because of all the time I spent there. It's an important part in my childhood, and I would like to improve a trail going from Hamlet Street to the first bridge. It'd be about 155 yards long. It would be 4 feet wide, including a 6-inch wooden edging on either side and filled with gravel. It would have erosion control for one of the particular muddy spots that's right by the dam. It's always really muddy, and it's a spot that I often see big footprints or tire ruts from bikes in. For this project, I would be using 6x6 lumber for wooden edging along the edges of the trails. 1 foot landscaping spikes, which would be to keep the lumber in place along the edges of the trail. Geotextile would be used for erosion control in that one muddy spot I was talking about, and that would help allow water to flow underneath the gravel so it wouldn't pile up on either side and make a big mud pile. It could flow easily into the creek. And pea gravel or fractured stone would be used as filling for the walking surface, and it would require about 100 square feet. On the handout that I handed you,
1,000 square feet.
1,000 square feet? I see 1,000 square feet?
yeah, misspoke. On the handout, it has a diagram which shows how the new trail would go. And it also has 2 pictures showing the conditions of the current trail. Those pictures were taken mid-October.
Is that your dog in the reference?
That is my dog.
It's awesome.
Trustees, or anybody have any comments or questions?
I think it sounds fabulous. Is it due? I mean, Parks and Rec person, is this
No, I think
doable?
it would be a nice improvement to the
Yeah.
work we did there. Have you talked with our street supervisor or anything about the
I
project?
talked with the highway superintendent and
Mr. Gardner?
Fredonia Rec and DPW about it,
good.
and they all said it was a good idea,
Great.
and I just need approval from the Board of Trustees to move on in the next steps of my project.
Did you speak with our code department who oversees, because it has to do with publicly owned property? Is this, he's sitting right back here, is this consistent with what he could be, doing within our parks?
I wouldn't have any involvement with it.
Nothing at all? Okay, that's all I needed to know, thank you.
Matt, they were okay with the design, how you have the 6x6s and then the gravel or stone in the center? They were okay with that?
I didn't run the exact design through,
Okay.
and I can talk with them
You
and
might-
double check to make sure there's no issues.
Yeah, you might want to, because I'm just thinking everything else, we don't have the edging on, so I'm just wondering maybe we won't need it through there, just fix the trail, build it up with the geotextile and the stone. But I would, pending Tony's and Jude Gardner's approvals, because we run that park with the town of Pomfret also, I would
That's
say,
correct.
I'm all for it. I appreciate you wanting to help out the village.
6x6 lumber's expensive, buddy.
Yeah, it is, and that's a long way.
How you planning on paying for this stuff?
For most Eagle Scout projects, I know other kids that have done stuff that requires lumber. They go to different companies like Chautauqua Brick and True Lumber and ask for donations. Sometimes they'll donate lumber, sometimes it'll be money for the project, and other companies too donate, and then also donations from families and other people.
Good for you.
It's great, I commend you for your efforts,
Yes,
young man.
thank you.
Yeah.
It's gonna
Very
be
nice,
when
Matthew.
it's done.
Any other questions?
Can we have a resolution at the next meeting?
I think we could draw something.
Yeah, in the meantime, I can have a meeting with our DPW director, Mr. Gugino, and bounce it off of him, and if we want to do something different, we can talk to you about it.
Okay,
Sound good?
yep.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
Any other old business? Is there any other old business? Okay. Open discussion. I have a few things here. We received some information on Fredonia Street piano project. Did any of you guys? Was it an email? You guys receive anything on that or see it in the paper?
I saw the paper.
Yeah.
Kind of briefly read over it.
Fredonia Street piano project.
Yeah, I saw that.
What do you guys, what does the board think of that? Any thoughts?
Have they approached the board about putting pianos in the park?
I received some correspondence on it. I can pass that to you guys.
I think it looks fun.
Okay.
Looks cool.
I just wonder, with our weather climate.
Right.
How those.
How
would
long they're
stay.
gonna-
Right, how long they'll last,
One season.
right,
Done.
if that.
Mayor, if I could, I actually was at a meeting last year about this project when they first pitched the idea to Mayor Landis, and they happened to come in when I was meeting with her. They are planning on taking them in. They are planning on covering them, and they're gonna be completely responsible for anything that happens. They did bring in some pictures of some ideas that they're having, but they wanted to involve the college, and so they don't have a picture of what they're gonna do because it's not created yet. But they did consider the weather, they considered theft, they considered, basically they had it covered. And it's not their it's their first time doing it, but it's not the first time this program has existed. So we're standing on the shoulders of giants, basically. A lot of the issues have already been taken care of, at least in their mind.
Okay. Any other questions on that? We had approached the subject of LED streetlight replacement here in the past. And I was approached by a gentleman who's works for a company that LED Energy Solutions, who's doing the LED conversions for the city of Dunkirk. We already have had some presentations, one from National Grid and one from Real Term Energy, maybe a year or two ago.
I remember, I thought we didn't vote on those.
Okay, we didn't.
Okay.
I just wondered if the board would entertain any other presentations.
They show us savings and what what
That's
it
correct.
involves and.
Yeah.
And I'd like to have a comparison between what National Grid was proposing, if that,
Okay.
sure, why not?
Who's doing the proposal?
It's LED Energy Solutions. Right now, they're currently converting the city of Dunkirk over. So, I mean,
Because I know Silver Creek went through that process too, and I know a couple of years ago, I sat through a couple of their meetings, and I think it was part of their power company put together something for them, so I don't know if it was an outside firm, but I can pull some notes on theirs.
We had more than one proposal before, and I think that we were leaning towards the National Grid one.
We have to pull that out. and
Because of
look at
the
that again.
cost of purchasing the old ones with the other company. We had to buy the lighting from National Grid
Right.
and then replace them. But National Grid was giving us what I felt was a better offer. But if there's something else to look at, because we haven't approved anything, I guess we should look at it.
sounds like a plan, so I could contact that company and have them set up a presentation for one of our future board meetings, okay? All right, thank you. I received some correspondence, and I believe the board did about 35 Water Street. I don't know if you received it from the president of the
Yes.
college. I received it from another business owner. I received correspondence from another business owner a couple weeks ago, and I spoke to our code enforcement officer about it. Right now, that's a tough situation. Chuck, could you speak a little bit on that, please, just real briefly?
We had heard that, that when Club 35 opened, they were advised not to have anything on the front windows. We've checked all zoning board, planning board minutes, we've never seen where they've actually even come to a board. So I don't know how we would address it. I don't have an answer.
They're not violating the sign law right now, right?
No.
I believe just some of the other businesses in the college just feels the poor taste in the use of the verbiage on their windows was, but what you're saying is it's not obscene or offensive per code? Okay. So, where it's a tough situation, it's, it's kind of a First Amendment thing that you can't.
I can reach out to the owners and see if they might help the situation.
Is that the same owners?
Same owners, but they're not opening up, from what I understand, this is somebody from not in our area, because the number that I had to call was a long distance number. And we advised them at that time to be careful on what they put on the front windows. And
Wasn't there
obviously
some
they
type
didn't take
of-
our
Wasn't there some type of moratorium on that, that said, that stated that if it was closed for a year, that it wouldn't be able to reopen?
Well, the
Is
zoning
that-
law
the zoning-
dictates that,
right.
but they have not been closed a year.
Oh, they haven't?
The chief Meyer actually notified me when they did close, so
Okay.
that we can kind of keep
Keep
an eye on it.
That's what I was
think it like
wondering.
last April is when they closed.
I see,
and,
so they're,
It hasn't been a year yet,
I see, okay.
unfortunately.
Okay.
But I can reach out to the owners and see if we can get them just to leave the windows black. I know Boydas did that when Boydas had it, they kept the windows black. So,
Appreciate that, thank you, check with them. Thank you.
yeah.
I believe it was about a year or two ago, we hired a company to do video of downtown businesses and so forth and so on. We got kind of a sample of that video proof for Fredonia to showcase our businesses and so forth. What they've given to us so far just kind of showcases the college and the Opera House here. I've had Anne Marie respond back to them to look into, I guess, promoting more of our businesses, because I believe that's what it was for in the beginning, for businesses. And the sample that they gave us was just
There wasn't
promoting
any.
the Opera House.
I viewed it, there wasn't any businesses shown.
No.
Or even the Main Street, or even, and some of the narration of it didn't seem to quite go along with the pictures that they were showing. They were talking about something totally different than what they were showing in the pictures. I mean, if you could relay that, I don't know.
Okay.
But I don't know if you could see that, watch it again and see.
I mean-
I watched, there was several of them, and I watched each one to see what it was, but I would like, I mean, if they're gonna present it, and it was something that we might get the actual rights to, I think that's what the idea was. It was that, I think it was Mayor Landis that actually requested them to, when it's completed, that we then get the rights to use those.
They don't want to give them to us, I don't think.
But,
I don't recall the
Yeah.
exact.
That was the
It
deal.
was supposed to be free to us, regardless of if any investment on the business part.
That would be,
So even if no businesses wanted to be involved, they would still provide us with that footage. But I don't know where we would use it if it doesn't reflect what we want of the village anyhow, but I think you could check into it further.
Yeah, I mean, the video that they shown was good. It was nice video, but it wasn't what was kind of, I think, expected
No.
on the presentation, so.
No, I know Chip's video was fantastic. I mean, what you see of Chip's
We'll
video.
use you, Chip.
On YouTube, watch it, his video is fantastic.
Can I comment on a little bit of that CGI? I believe the company was,
Yeah, we
correct?
talked about this.
Yeah, correct.
When we discussed before with them a long time ago, there was a lot of discussion back and forth with our committee, with our board, Dave, you weren't there at the time, the cable board, of what we wanted. And they tried to do basically the same thing you're having now. There was very little of what they did. We went back with them for several months, and they came up with different ideas and stuff like that. And then there was a final product. We did not vote on it or anything. We just said we wanted to see the final product. They came back with a final product, and that was about all it went for. But it was for the businesses to purchase time on that.
Right.
And we tried hard, very hard to get the businesses involved, but they showed a lot of highlights regarding the parks and school and some of our history of the village of Fredonia. And a lot of businesses. And so I don't know, however they're doing it, they're looking, like you said, we did a better job, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yours was really great,
Greenhouse is
really good.
We're still working on a project similar to that for the businesses as a small business resolution moves forward. We've been working on some of that stuff too, to
Good.
try to produce something to use that wouldn't cost the businesses anything, and it would have a little more production.
That's fine.
Boy, what a novel idea. Great, that's wonderful.
All right, thank you. This Thursday, there's going to be a North County Water District meeting, their normal meeting. And I know we discussed last meeting the connections on Route 20. We had our engineer go over what he thought. I plan on going. I would ask any trustees who would like to go. It's at 4 o'clock on Thursday.
I plan on it.
But what do we, what's the board's thought on the decision on which way to go on that, please?
I noticed that there was, when they talked about the water tower, initially they presented it as the one that they were going to add in the Sheridan area, was going to be able to provide us with the additional fire coverage and our usage for the day. But now it turns out that he described that it won't be able to do that for us because of the elevation. It won't be able to cover our full village, which then leads us to then adding, at our cost, a larger tank up on the hill for us, which actually I think we should even increase it larger than what was described. Instead of 2.5 million, go to 3 million. Try to give ourselves that coverage that we would need. And then some, because if we're going to spend the money, we might as well spend that little bit more to get a larger tank of our own and have full coverage, but also the ability to cover future usage for growth and development. But I was really disappointed that, originally they claimed that this was going to give us all this wonderful coverage, and just by having these connections could really offset our need, but it's not going to be able to do that. So I don't know if this is this really going to help us in any way, or other than giving them something that they were looking for in the first place before we even considered, they tried to give us like I said, this appease us with the opportunity to have coverage, but it's not gonna work out that way. So I don't know where we wanna go with this. I mean, I'm sure the board has to decide that, but it's,
Maybe if you could.
I am concerned with that. I mean, what's the point of the connections if we're really not getting a benefit out of it?
Unless it's us selling water to them.
Yeah, but the Dunkirk's not releasing any ability to do that. I've seen more statements of that, that they claim the sole supplier, period, and they want to hold on to that strongly. I don't see any evidence of any change.
But we have a contract where we could sell water to Dunkirk if they need it.
That's correct.
So
And
to
we
me,
are,
So, and Dunkirk's selling to the water district, so to me, it's just a matter of getting people down at a table and working out the contract that says, okay, if we open up that connection out on Route 20, we're basically selling to Dunkirk, and Dunkirk's selling it to you. It sounds easy, but to me, it could be as simple as that, and the same with having a connection on the west side, the same thing.
Well, and doesn't it actually perform a function if we're in an emergency situation?
I didn't catch
The
that.
connections, if there were an emergency.
Well, that's the whole idea.
The connections
They could
itself would.
ideally sell to us, or we could sell to them.
Right.
Or provided,
Right, if
let's
something went
not use
wrong
that.
and there was some kind of
But
disaster, if we were hooked up, we would,
But what Jim pointed out is absolutely true. There's a concern about the elevation of their tank not providing
Right.
right,
water to
Gravity.
the whole village.
get that.
I think it could supply some limited, I mean, it wouldn't be the fix-all, but yeah, it would be
Right, if we were in an
additional.
emergency situation.
I think what they told us was the elevation, that would be about the top of West Hill. So basically the whole high side up to Castle Heights, and that would probably not get any water
not any
pressure.
water, right.
So do
I
we,
still think it should be part of the overall plan once this is all done, but I also think we need to upgrade our system and our storage. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, yeah.
Doug, what are you looking for from us? What is it that you?
any direction on giving them any comment or not?
Will they let you speak? Usually it's
Yes.
just okay.
And Dunkirk hasn't provided us with the contract, Mr. Guard, with that, there was, the issue of Dunkirk being the sole supplier to the,
So you're talking Dunkirk, North County Water
North
District
County
contract?
Water, yeah, the contract.
We've had that contract. That's how we
Okay.
found out.
Right,
When I
and-
went to the meeting with the city of Dunkirk, and we were unaware of that, we had talked about it for weeks,
Right.
evidently. Mayor Rosas was also a little bit fuzzy on it, and all of a
Right.
sudden, here comes this paper, and it just kind of derailed the whole discussion, because they're not gonna let go of the sole supplier
Correct.
language.
So unless they-
Well, that's what I was getting at. They don't want to let go of it.
Right.
So unless
And
there
they
was
said they will
emergency-
bring a legal action to help defend it, so.
Oh, okay, so
They're
unless
not-
there was an
they're not
emergency clause, supply clause in their contract.
There's a specific clause with the North County Water District and the city of Dunkirk, which says Dunkirk will be the sole supplier.
Period.
And it,
Period.
period. And it's a 50-year contract,
So,
so.
and so if we need, that's my thoughts, I mean, what are we getting at here? Unless they're willing to move on this. We need them to move on it. I mean, that,
There's a lot of discussion to be had before, I think.
I mean, if the ball's actually kind of in their court, I mean, they need to move on it. So anyhow, that's
Roger.
thoughts,
Roger,
that's
Roger.
the thought.
Okay. All right, well, I'll hold off on that. I just have one other quick thing here. Brooks Hospital and TLC, they plan on constructing a new hospital up here. The SECRA report will be expiring here on March 1st, which might create some delays if they have to do it over again. Okay? I was wondering if
Delays
the
upon the
board would
delay.
just kind of authorize me to maybe send them a letter saying, you know, we're still hoping that this comes here, and
Yeah.
we're kind of aware of this, so
Yes.
please break ground before March 1st.
Stick a shovel in it?
Get your shovel and get here,
You'd be
yes.
sitting at the Brooks?
Yes.
Yes.
Would
Chuck,
that,
is there any, Chuck, is there any way to extend that at all?
I think they can extend, they can ask for an extension. But let me call their attorney tomorrow or Wednesday and see if that can get what they're gonna do. 'Cause Mark's pretty good with secret. And I'm pretty sure there's extension that they can actually ask the village for.
It's actually a planning board issue. I see Mr. Fridman over there. Is that something that, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but,
I'm not 100% positive, but I don't recall any extension
Yes,
procedure
me
for
either.
the site plan review. Seeker does have all sorts of things inside of the actual site plan review, I believe, that expires in a year.
1 year.
yes.
And it may be as late as May. I was looking over my notes, and so we may still have a little bit more time, but it's soon at any rate, so it may be the beginning of May though.
any other discussion? Sorry. Okay, I guess we'll open up the regular meeting. At a regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia, duly called and held on the 10th day of February 2020 at 9:02 PM in the Trustees Room, second floor, Village Hall, Fredonia, New York, and public notice of the time and the place of this meeting has been given to the news media and conspicuously posted in one or more designated public locations in accordance with Section 104 of the Open Meetings Law. I could do this, I'll do this here. The public portion, this portion of the meeting is for the public comment. Any member of the public wishing to speak, once recognized, shall stand and state their name and address. Speakers will be allowed 3 minutes of speaking for themselves or 5 minutes of speaking on behalf of a group. I will ask the speakers to refrain from remarks that are in poor taste, slanderous, or not germane to any action taken or contemplated by the board. The floor is open to the public. Anyone wishing to address the board, please stand and state your name and address and stand by the microphone, please.
Hi, Dave Fridman, Chestnut Street, Fredonia. I just had a couple of quick questions or follow-ups. Was curious how the website was coming, if there was any news on that. I was glad to see that the minutes, as up-to-date as they could be, were posted in plenty of time so that people could actually see them this time, which was good. I was also curious if we could get the Barker Commons info online for the public to see. I asked you guys earlier, but I thought I'd just put it out there as well. If we get that on the website, that'd be great, like we did with the Brooks information in the past. So I think it'd be very interesting for everybody to see what's coming.
You talking
the blueprints? Yeah, yeah.
Not activities.
I just happened to walk by a bunch of plans that were sitting there like, oh, this looks really interesting. I'd like to know more about this. Dumb thing, I think Jermaine is spelled incorrectly in the resolution tonight. And is there any, has there been any board discussion or action being contemplated about the Fenner House? Mark isn't here tonight, so I thought I'd speak out on his behalf since he was not. Didn't know if anybody had any comments about that. Oh, and I'm hoping still to, I don't know if you guys have resolved or finalized your committee appointments, but I'd love to be able to see those in public as well, just so we know who to talk to, like if we've got a specific question about something, which trustee we'd be talking to about that issue, so.
So that'd be on the website, you're thinking?
Hopefully, that'd be great, yeah. All right, thanks, that's all.
Thank you.
Do the special committees have to be approved by the board? You're appointed,
My subcommittees or whatever,
the special committees.
special committees?
Do they have, I believe that they were supposed to be approved by the board.
I don't believe that.
I think that
When I appoint committees and subcommittees, are those per board approval? I thought they were just my appointments.
According to the charter, the mayor's standing committees are your appointments and don't require board approval. However, the board does have the authority and the ability to change the standing committees.
Change them.
And also, they have the authority over the special committees, which I think is what trustee Linden's talking about. The standing committees would not require board approval. Now, they could change them if they wanted to, but normally speaking, it wouldn't require approval, no.
But the special committees?
But the special committees that the board was talking about creating, those can be created by the board and they would be controlled by the board.
Would they be, require approval by the board then? I mean, or as they are, or if they want to make changes, that's when they would have to do it? The special
Should we be
committees.
talking about this during the public portion?
I'm sorry.
I'm not sure where, I'm sorry, Jim, I'm not following.
You never questioned special, I mean, to approve those by, okay, I'm not sure.
Well, because he asked, the reason I asked was because he asked to have it on, and I apologize for speaking
Okay.
in the wrong
Yes, I
portion.
just-
You're correct.
You can talk about it during the report if you want.
But I understand what you're saying. I think we're good here, Doug.
Okay,
I apologize.
no problem. Is there any other person wishing to speak from the public? Is there anybody else wishing to speak from the public? Is there anyone else wishing to speak from the public? Public portion is now closed. I will give a real brief mayor's report here. Most recently, I met with Pomfret Supervisor Dan Pecos and the Fredonia and Pomfret planning boards to discuss, we heard a presentation from a company for a shared or combined comprehensive plan. Both of our plans are in need of updating and upgrading. And last time we did it, the same company did it separately, and I think charged us both the same grand amount. So instead of working separately and not necessarily against each other, we'd like to work together and form a combined comprehensive plan that would have specific sections for both the village and the town, but work together here because I think we could accomplish a lot of different things with our comprehensive plans, and funding could be had additionally with multiple jurisdictions being involved in it. So that's something the board would like to comment on.
Can you get grant money for that, to pay for that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so that's the kind of, what we're looking into different, through both the town having their grant opportunities and the village, and I will be meeting with Travis Gordon and Nate to discuss our possible funding items on that.
And I think that the opportunities for funding is enhanced because it's a collaborative effort.
That's correct.
And the company that we met with on Monday, the 3rd, was Barton Laguitas. They're all over the state of New York. The head planner who met with us was out of the Rochester office, and he had a lot of wonderful things to say about the village of Fredonia and the town of Pomfret and their collaborative effort. And I'd like to thank both the mayor and the planning board for the village, as well as the supervisor for the town of Pomfret and their planning board and zoning board for being collaborative, because I think it may have been a historic moment with all of us in the room at the same time, and I think that it's a step in the right direction.
Thank you, absolutely, I totally agree. So that's the direction we'd like to go, and we'll be bringing you some more information as far as if we can get funding for it. I met with Courtney Curatolo, Director of Small Business Development Center for JCC, and I also spoke with Mike Mahalski, who's an Economic Development Coordinator with Stock Opportunities for Development Incorporated. They both assist small businesses in our area, and in combination here with the Small Business Revolution and doing things here, we're going to be looking into opportunities to assist other small businesses and non-for-profits in different ways. So these are a couple different opportunities. I would like to help our small businesses, assist them in whichever way we can to help them revitalize their businesses and improve. So that was one thing I met. Coming up here this week, I'll be meeting again with Mayor Rosas to discuss other collaborative ideas. I continue to meet with surrounding municipal leaders. I think this is something we need to do to move forward in a lot of different areas. I wasn't at the last department head meeting, but I will wait until the trustees report. If the trustees who went to the department head meeting would like to give a report on that. And I'm going to start, and we actually started here. I'd walk downtown and meet with businesses and discuss their needs and the different opportunities that the village can assist them with. I think communication with them and getting to meet with them face to face is a really great opportunity. And I look forward to doing that. And I believe that's all I have. So trustee reports, trustee Christina.
I don't have a report at this time. I just have a question about when you're meeting with some of the other leaders of other municipalities, might there be a chance for some of us to
Absolutely.
attend meetings if, we can, because I would be interested in maybe doing that.
Sure. Yep.
At some point, so.
Yep.
Okay. That's, no reports tonight.
Thank you. Trustee Linden, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just one thing, because I just spoke on that, that kind of brought to my attention, on the committees and your committees and the special committees. We have a personnel, number 10, personnel committee that you appointed, and then on the special committees, you have interview committee. I think that's kind of redundant, and that I would ask that the board consider removing just that one, the number one interview committee, and let that all be handled by the personnel committee. If combine it, or somehow make that all just one. I think it'd be just because of the redundancy of it. I think would prevent some issues that we may have.
Okay, as Attorney Guard stated, our charter or code states that you can amend or change or add or delete.
That would leave your personnel, I mean, your committee the same, the one that's, and then, but the one that's a special committee would be the change.
Board
We consider it.
discussion?
I guess I'd kind of like to know what the duties of each are.
Right.
Because I could see them being totally different and wanting to keep both. So I'm not sure what the duties of the
Like I
personnel
said,
committee are.
This is just my request as part of my.
Okay.
Part of my.
Okay, this is just, I'm opening up for discussion.
Okay.
Okay. Any other report?
No, thank you.
Trustee Britz.
I really don't have much to report this week. Just getting excited and can't wait for our Ty and the group to come walking down that step and make the grand announcement and see how we're gonna change our village and help support all the small businesses, and hats off again to the committee for doing a wonderful job. I know they left earlier, but really a lot of dedication and hard work was put forth, and we got the win. Now we got the win. Now let's show them what Fredonia is all about.
Thank you. Trustee Pecos.
I was meeting with Tony Gugino, our Public Works Director, I think it was right after our last meeting, a few days after, and I mentioned we ought to do an energy study of this building, seeing as how climate control this time of year is opening a window. And he mentioned he already had one done. He has it from, I believe it was Siemens did it, and he's going to try to schedule a presentation from them at an upcoming workshop. And I know there's funding involved to help us with it, so they can explain all that, but I think it's an excellent opportunity if we can seize that. I did attend the department head meeting last week, basically just there to listen. They just kind of went round robin, and of course, you got the notes on it, talked about the issues, the projects and that they're doing. Jim offered his assistance to them as they develop their budgets. But it was nice getting the meeting. Some of them I see all the time, like those two gentlemen, but other ones I don't get a chance to see, like Mr. Rayner, and so I enjoyed meeting with them. That's all I have.
Thank you. Trustee Bashaw.
Just wanted to reiterate that businesses found out today if they were on the short list. Today was the day.
I can't leak that information.
Yeah, I don't know if do you have that information?
I can't.
I didn't think that it was leakable. I thought it was deluxes, but
Yeah.
I know that the businesses were finding out today, which is kind of exciting. Just wanted to reiterate the collaborative effort, I think is a really positive thing. And to address Roger Pecos's question, I am working on a hiring procedure that really kind of clarifies the difference between a personnel and an interview. It does delineate between them. I think there is some difference, and I'll get that out to you for your perusal.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Reports.
Police Department
Yes.
report for the month of January. Incidents reported 646, Fredonia Center School calls for service 5, accidents 15, arrests reported 46, vehicle and traffic 51, parking tickets 70.
Thank you. Treasurer's report, I apologize, Jim.
I met with a couple of the department heads, and as Roger pointed out, announced that I'd like to have their requests in by the end of the week here, so we can start putting the budget together for the mayor. And so we've started on that. That's about all I have.
Thank you. Correspondence. Correspondence was received from firefighter Brent Johnson resigning his position effective February 15th, 2020.
Be it resolved that the resignation of Brett Johnson as full-time firefighter is hereby accepted effective February 15th, 2020, and the mayor is hereby authorized to write a letter to Mr. Johnson thanking him for his service to the village of Fredonia. Be it further resolved that Brent Johnson is hereby hired as a part-time firefighter at the rate of $16 per hour effective February 16th without any benefits.
I second that.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Britz?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Carried. Correspondence dated January 23rd, 2020 was received from Rick Davis, Executive Director of the 1891 Fredonia Opera House Incorporated, requesting the use of West Barker Common, the gazebo, and bagging of 3 parking meters on Church Street for Bach Barbecue, bake sale, and basket auction fundraiser Saturday, June 6, 2020, from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Be it resolved that the request from Rick Davis, Executive Director of the 1891 Fredonia Opera House Incorporated, to use West Barker Commons, the gazebo, and the bagging of 3 parking meters on Church Street for a Bach Barbecue bake sale and basket auction fundraiser to support the presentation of the Bach and Beyond Baroque Music Festival on Saturday, June 6, 2020, from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., is hereby approved with the stipulation that the group will be responsible for cleanup and is subject to the direction of the police department and the village receiving a certificate of insurance in the amount of $1 million, naming the village as an additional insured, which has been received.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second has been made. Is there any further discussion? Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Britz?
Aye.
Trustee Pecos?
Aye.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Carried. Correspondence was received from Fredonia Farmers Market Incorporated requesting the use of Barker Common, the gazebo, and the closing of Church Street between Day Street and Temple Street, and the use of East Barker Common every Saturday from May 16, 2020 to October 24th, 2020, during the hours of 7 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. is hereby approved.
Be it resolved at the request of the Fredonia Farmers Market to close Church Street between Day Street and Temple Street and the use of East Barker Common every Saturday from May 16th, 2020 to October 24th, 2020, during the hours of 7 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. is hereby approved.
I second the resolution.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any other further discussion? Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Brits?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Carried. Resolutions.
Whereas the Board of Trustees for the Village of Fredonia are authorized by Chapter 63, Section 1D to determine the rules of the procedure for the conduct of meetings, whereas the Board believes the standardization and adherence to a policy concerning the submission of resolutions will increase discussion and communication while affording the trustees and the public their right to speak now, and therefore be it resolved that the Village Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia hereby adopts the following procedures regarding the submission and creation of all resolutions. Any resolution being submitted for placement on the agenda of a regularly scheduled or special meeting of the board shall be submitted to the village clerk no later than 1 p.m. on the Monday or week prior to said meeting. Number 2, proposed resolution shall be given to the village attorney by the village clerk no later than 9 a.m. on Wednesday or 5 days preceding the meeting. Number 3, resolution sponsored by one or more trustees shall be submitted by 1 p.m. on Monday or a week prior to the regularly scheduled board meeting in order to be placed on the agenda. Number 4, complete and final agenda shall be placed in the trustees' mailboxes and available to the public on both the website and in hard copy no later than 10 a.m. on Thursday or 4 days prior to the said board meeting. Number 5, resolutions placed on the agenda after the deadline shall meet the following criteria in order to be included or considered for action. A, the action must have a financial impact on the village, positive or negative, and require an action that must be taken prior to the next meeting date. Or B, have an immediate effect on the health or safety of the citizens of the village. Number 6, all resolutions that come before the village board shall be written and prepared by the village attorney only, with the exception of annual standard resolutions, i.e. the annual events held in Barker Commons, employee resignations, which can be prepared by the village clerk. Number 7, during the workshop, prior to the regular meeting, trustees shall have the opportunity to discuss any proposed resolutions along with other village business. Number 8, members of the public will be afforded the opportunity to speak on any action taken or contemplated by the board during the public comment portion of the regular meeting, subject to the following rules, which shall be read at each meeting immediately prior to the opportunity for the public comment. A, the portion of the meeting is for public comment. This portion of the meeting is for public comment. Any member of the public wishing to speak, once recognized, shall stand and state their name and address. B, speakers will be allowed 3 minutes of speaking for themselves, if speaking for themselves, or 5 minutes if speaking on behalf of a group. The mayor will determine in his or her discretion if individuals are speaking for themselves or representing a group. C, the mayor shall keep good order and may require a speaker to stop speaking if remarks are in poor taste, slanderous, or not germane, spelling wrong, in any action taken or contemplated by the board. D, during the meeting, once a resolution has been proposed and seconded, each trustee shall be given the opportunity to publicly state their position regarding the proposed resolution. Once all trustees in attendance have had the opportunity to be heard, a roll call vote will be conducted.
I second that.
There's been a motion and a second made. Is there any further discussion?
Mayor, real quick. This is the first time seeing this draft of this resolution, all right, and I believe that the changes were made. There were 2 other changes that Anne Marie and I had asked for on this that weren't not amended in here. Number 4, 10 o'clock, we'd like 1 o'clock, just to give ourselves a little extra time.
Which day was that?
Number 4.
Okay, 1
Yeah, if we can have 1 o'clock on Thursday, that would be beneficial to Anne Marie and I, because we have to meet and we have to go over things together.
This will be 1 p.m.
And then the second one is number 6. In addition to the resolutions that my office doesn't prepare, we are also going to add financial resolutions prepared by the treasurer's office or the clerk's office. because we don't have the information to do that, and that's
Yes.
traditionally what they've been done.
That was not an acceptable change, and because at this point, it's my understanding and belief that the attorney needs to write, especially the financial resolutions, because of the legalities and the position it puts the village in. You're gonna have to work with the treasurer in order
Well,
to do that, but
the
I
issue-
believe they need to be written by the attorney.
Trustee Bashaw, the issue is that I have been doing this 15 years now. I've never prepared the financial resolutions for any city, village, town I've ever worked for. They are very specific, and they're specific. So basically, what Jim would have to do is, I mean, I can review them, but to draft them from scratch is not reasonable. Additionally, we have some of the financial resolutions that the treasurer's office doesn't even do. They're prepared by bond counsel. What else do we have, Jim?
Well, bond counsel
Yeah, I mean,
is the
these
main
are things,
thing, and-
I don't want to get stuck in a situation where the code, the procedural rules require me to do something I can't do.
They need to go through you.
I have no
Whoever
problem
writes
looking
them.
them over, I can't do them effectively
Review
because I
them.
don't know, you know.
Review them.
I mean, I can review them for form, but I would
Right.
have no, I just want to make it very clear that that's not thing that the village attorney usually does.
Jim?
The one in particular is bond resolutions, bond authorizations. Those are all prepared by New York legal counsel. I don't think, I mean, certainly I can make copies available to Dan. There's nothing that he's going to do to correct it.
Right.
Because they have to
They're
meet
written by
certain
an attorney.
criteria. And the others would be financial resolutions that deal with like funding for grants and that kind of thing. You already get those. Those are prepared ahead of time.
Right.
The only other resolutions that I've been preparing and our former treasurers are preparing are these simple budget transfer resolutions, which is references to the village law 5-520. And those are simple transfers between accounts. I don't think that's anything that, well, there's no liability there, exposure or anything else. And they're presented to you and then you have to approve them. So I don't know. Offhand, I can't think of anything else that would really be,
I mean, traditionally, I've been doing about 85-90% of the resolutions, just because those are the ones that the attorney traditionally does. Other things like the financial, the budget stuff, generally speaking, that's not the attorney, just because I don't have that information and I don't have the ability to get it without sitting, having an extra meeting.
Right. That was the point, I think, is that it was time to sit down. If they need to be vetted by you, you need to be familiar with them, and I think that I understand the ones that are coming from legal counsel, sure, as long as he sees them, and those ones about the budget transfers. But anything else in regard to finances, even including the grants, I think it's important that you see them and tell us that they are financially sound, and they have to at least be vetted by you. I don't want to excuse that responsibility from the attorney. And as far as the 1 o'clock, the 10 o'clock goes, we left it at 10 the last time I talked to Anne Marie, only because when these resolutions come to us, am I allowed to mark? Is this okay? We're talking about this now? Okay.
This is a resolution.
That when these resolutions come to us, oftentimes it is, a conversation can be had with an employee, a department head, but they have to be done during the workday. And for those of us who work, we don't get these unless I can come over at lunchtime and get them. And the employees are gone. That leaves us Friday. It doesn't leave us a weekend. I don't think a weekend is a viable situation to talk with anybody, to get some information, to make sound decisions. So that's why we said 10 a.m. on Thursday, so that there was a lunchtime and the majority of Thursday, the day, to be able to look through, and Friday. So the last time I spoke with Anne Marie, we left that at 10.
Did Anne Marie type up the resolution?
I don't know.
Does anyone know?
Did she?
Laura, do you know? She did?
Yeah.
She typed this up? So
I
she
see
left
that-
it in there then?
Well, I see that there were some things that weren't corrected, other resolutions that weren't corrected as well. So I don't know if she didn't have time or, but
Okay.
So do the trustees, the 10 o'clock or 1 o'clock
if he
PM?
feels he needs to see them.
I'm sorry? So what are the trustees, what's the board good with, 10 a.m. or 1 p.m.?
I like the 10 a.m.
Again, I would just ask because one of the portions of this, and I do agree with making it Monday, and I agree with this can work, but one of the reasons behind this was to allow additional, time, all right? Because Anne Marie and I
For
used to bang
us.
these out Friday morning, and then the board had them, Friday afternoon. I appreciate the board wanting additional time. It just seems like we're shortening the timeline for Anne Marie and I to the point where it's going to make things more difficult, not easier.
I think that was my point of earlier, was saying they give you that extra time to review.
That's-
That's what I was getting at, and I would prefer to have that time for the attorney to review, especially what she just spoke about, the financial resolutions. If you have to, you're trying to review everything and go over it with Anne Marie to put it in the agenda, I think that would be, that little extra time is good.
Can we split the difference and say noon? This way, if somebody wants to go over
On
on their lunch
Thursday?
hour? On Thursday. Just gives Anne Marie a little more time in case she needs it to get everything in order.
Yeah, I mean, some of these are rather involved. I mean, the resolutions look
Right.
simple, but for example, next meeting, we're gonna have a resolution approving a 500-page contract. I've gotta go through the contract, I've gotta look at every page, and you need, these are the types of things that happen where you need more time.
But you've had that contract, I mean, I'm hoping you're doing it now before Monday.
I have already taken care of it. The thing of it is, when they handed it to me last Thursday, they wanted a resolution for that afternoon, and I said, no.
Right. And,
Yeah.
but, I mean, there is time, that's not a Monday to Thursday situation. But some of these resolutions, when they're coming in Monday by 1, and you've got until Thursday at noon, you've got, you're looking at 3 days of being able to get them done, I would hope. I'm seeing resolutions written at night in 3 minutes, so I'm thinking that we could probably get them done in 3 days. And if that's not enough time, then you probably need to speak with us in regard to a time allotment.
And I think this is a step in the right direction. I just think we need to tweak it as we go along, probably.
This is tweaked.
We
Noon?
okay with noon?
Yeah.
Noon.
Noon.
Yeah, noon.
Okay.
Sure.
So do I have to ask trustee
compromise.
Bashaw to make a
Yes.
motion to amend your,
Amend to number 4 until noon on Thursday.
I would second that.
okay, we have a motion and a second to the amended motion. Any further discussion? Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Britz?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Carried.
And then number 6 would then include financial the exemption, would be financial resolutions.
Yes. With addition of
Is that-
financial
So
resolutions
you
as
have-
well.
We have to do that.
Pass the resolution or just pass the
No, I'm not
change?
exempting that. I don't feel that that should be exempt.
Oh, okay, you didn't include that in your, no, she did not
No.
include that in her.
No, I did not.
We just passed the time change.
Time
We
change.
passed the resolution?
Yes, you did.
Yes, with the amended
Yeah.
time change.
But it's number 6 states that, as Dan
But the
stated,
resolution's
that he
already
would have.
voted on, Right?
No.
Yeah, yes, it is. We voted on it.
Yeah, we just voted on it.
You just voted on what trustee
Yes.
Bashaw just said with the only one change.
We voted on amending just that one portion.
That's correct. That's what the
Not-
motion amended was made.
But just
It
the
was
amended.
seconded, and I did a roll
Right.
call.
Yes,
That was to change it to noon.
yes.
On just that number 4. Was
That's
that- was that-
correct.
Was that?
Now we have to
that was-
vote on the
now we
whole
we would
thing.
have to vote on the entire
Yes.
thing.
He's right. We have to
Okay.
vote on the whole
That was
thing
my
now.
point
Yeah.
earlier,
Yeah.
that we haven't approved the actual
Right.
resolution.
Okay, so you just
Right.
approved the amended change.
Just the
Yes.
amended change.
Yes.
We didn't approve the entire
Okay,
resolution.
okay, okay.
And that's why I was asking about the
Okay.
financial section, because Dan said that he's not comfortable with writing the entire financial resolutions. And if we would ask for an amendment to number 6.
And I am feeling strongly that they need to go through him. So if they aren't written by him, they're at least reviewed and approved by him before they come to us.
And I would be in favor of, approval, looking at them. Of course, that's the way it used to be the last couple of meetings. I haven't gotten the resolutions final until the meeting, and that's getting difficult because like this
Yeah.
resolution, I would have liked to have discussed it a little more and had a chance to look at it. So I would totally agree to, approve, review, all that stuff in terms of drafting. That's a little out of my wheelhouse for the
So how do you
financial
want to state that in there?
I would say that he's responsible for the reviewing and approval of the financial resolutions prior to coming to the trustees. If it requires some research, okay, but I understand most of them come already done, but there are some that don't. And
So,
of all the legal counsel that we seek, financial should probably be among the biggest. And one of the things that I never want to hear again is I've never seen this resolution. Because,
And I completely agree
yeah,
with that as well.
Right.
Yeah.
I really do, I think that's
Yeah.
important. Maybe we could amend number 6, and we don't need to vote on an amendment, we're just gonna vote on the whole thing. Maybe we can amend number 6 just to say, shall be written or at least reviewed by the village attorney. I mean, because.
shall be
there's-
written or approved.
Yes, yes.
There you
there's
go.
Something like that is fine.
Financial
Yeah,
resolutions.
I just wanna make sure there's
Shall
no
be
detail.
written or approved by the
Or just-
attorney.
If you just leave it the way it is, all resolutions that come before the village board shall be
Written or
written and
approved.
approved by
Right.
the village attorney.
Yeah.
You don't have to,
There you
add
go.
financials.
No,
You
Yes.
just-
It's fine.
Correct.
Yeah, just leave it.
Right,
Okay.
exactly.
Yep.
okay, are we all on the same page here, village
Yes.
board?
We are, and he said that we could just go through and finish.
Okay, so a motion was made for the entire
Yes.
resolution in a second. We've had discussion, I think. Are we through with the discussion? Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Britz.
Yes.
Trustee Pecos.
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw.
Yes.
All right.
Wow.
Okay, that resolution is through.
All right. Be it resolved that the regular and overtime payrolls of various village departments and bills approved by Finance Committee is set forth in abstract number 521 December 2019 is hereby approved and directed paid.
I'll second that.
Been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Britz.
Yes.
Trustee Pecos.
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw.
Yes.
Carried.
Be resolved that the resolution appointing Urlissa LeBeau, 2 Westerly Drive, Fredonia, New York, as account clerk is hereby amended to have an effective date of February 3rd, 2020.
I'll second the resolution.
Been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Britz.
Yes.
Trustee Pecos.
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw.
Yes.
Carried.
Be it resolved that the village clerk is hereby authorized to advertise for the informal sealed bids for the sale of the following vehicles no longer needed for village purposes. Said bids shall be received at the clerk's office on 911 Church Street, Fredonia, New York, until 10 a.m. on February 28th, 2020, at which time the bids shall be publicly opened and read aloud. The Village Board of Trustees reserves the right to reject any and all bids and to accept the bid deemed most advantageous to the Village of Fredonia. Said vehicle shall be sold in as-is condition, and no warranties of any kind are made with respect to the following vehicles. Number 1, 1990 L8000 4-guys tanker pumper. Number 2, a 2008 Chevrolet Colorado LT pickup, gray, VIN number 1GCCS14E888126509. Number 3, a 2000 Henderson salt spreader, serial number 2644. Number 1999 Ford Windstar van, gray, VIN number 2FMZAS145XBA75641. And finally, a 1993 Sterling L900 salt. Oh, 1997, okay. 1997 Sterling L900 salt truck, VIN number 1FDYS92P5VVA40091.
I'll second that.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Britz.
Yes.
Trustee Pecos.
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw.
Yes.
Carried.
Whereas the village treasurer position currently held by James Sedota, appointed November 13th, 2018, therefore be it resolved that the full-time permanent village treasurer shall be posted and advertised immediately with a closing date of February 28th, 2020, and an expected start date of April 1st, 2020 or sooner, There is an amendment to this. For the purpose of working with and being trained by the current treasurer. Qualifications shall include minimum of a bachelor's degree in business management, accounting, or related fields, CPA desired but not required, budget development and municipal experience desired, salary commensurate with experience. So the amendment reads April 1st or sooner for the purpose of working with and being trained by the current treasurer. That was a change. And the word required has been changed to desired for budget development and municipal experience.
Can I have a second?
Jim?
I'll second that.
It's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I think this is rushed through. The most important person who should have been in on this discussion is our treasurer, who's sitting right here, and he was not involved with it. So I frankly think you're getting the cart before the horse on this.
Any other discussion?
What's the official title of this position that we're gonna hire?
Treasurer.
Can't have two treasurers,
Treasurer trainee.
Deputy, you have to be a deputy chair.
Training like that.
I don't know.
You just wouldn't be, they wouldn't sign anything until you were done.
No, I would still be the treasurer. I would still be the one signing.
Right.
It could be a deputy treasurer.
So that
Could
resolution's
be a
going to be
deputy, it could
amended.
be a treasurer trainee as well.
I mean,
never heard of it.
obviously, there would be, if there was a training period, the current treasurer would still be signing, and when he left, there would be that transition. So, yeah, I mean, you would be hiring for the treasurer's position, but the individual wouldn't be, you know, they would be in training for a period. We can do it if we want to. I mean, the charter leaves us open to be able to do it if we want to.
Well, then just leave it like it is.
We
Because
don't
that's
need to
what you're
create a
advertising.
deputy position for this, that would be
Well, the
silly.
request for the advertisement is going to be treasurer.
Right.
So, I mean, that's what you want to ask, because that's what whoever's going to apply for, they're going to want to know that this is where this is going to lead them into that position. So I would think that we'd leave it like it is.
So do I.
I would recommend we table it, bring Jim into discussion so we can actually have all the facts and the correct dates in place, and perhaps the correct title in place before we rush this through.
We have the
a motion and a second.
Been a motion.
We're in a discussion. I'm giving
Yeah.
my opinion.
Any further discussion? Trustee Christina?
One of many difficult decisions, but I think if we're gonna look at moving forward, then I'm gonna vote yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Britz?
No.
Trustee Pecos?
No.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Motion's carried 3-2.
Now we have these.
Okay. Which one you gonna do?
Choose. We didn't assign these, but I'm assuming because there are those committees that they would do those.
Yes, that would be fine. Can I have Trustee Britz and Pecos do police officer? Or which one?
Patrol officer, do you want to do first?
Yes, let's do patrol officer first and then the Barker.
That'd be
Yeah, Scriven. Thank
Be
you.
it resolved that police officer Nathan Scriven is hereby promoted to position of sergeant with the Fredonia Police Department at an hourly rate of $37.44 effective February 11th, 2020, subject to civil service rules and regulations and subject to probationary period of 6 months.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second on the table. Is there any further discussion? Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Britz?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Carried. Oh, they're gonna do that.
I don't know.
Hold on, do that one first.
Yep. Yeah, do the other one there.
Fire department? Or do you want to do the festivals?
Which one gets up? You decide.
Festivals, please.
Festival?
Yep.
We've had a few changes, so if I misspeak, feel free to correct me. Be it resolved that the Fredonia Community Chamber of Commerce, Chautauqua County Chamber of Commerce, Festivals Fredonia, and the Small Business Revolution, SBR, Committee requests the use of village property during the Small Business Revolution Rally on Friday, March 6, 2020, to include music on Temple Street, craft vendors, wineries, and food vendors in East Barker Commons as follows. Number 1, use of East Barker Commons from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. 2, close Water Street between Main Street and Canada Way Street from 5 to midnight. Close Church Street from Day Street to Park Street. A, if necessary, frame tents will be set up in front of Village Hall in the middle of Church Street in the event of inclement weather. B, frame tents will not require pounding of any stakes into Church Street. 4, close Temple Street between Main Street and Lambert Avenue from 5 p.m. to midnight for a stage to be erected on Temple Street in between Village Hall and the Family Church facing Main Street for purpose of welcoming Ty Pennington, Amanda Brinkman, and the Small Business Revolution team.
Did we discuss that one? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, we're going to do this, a separate resolution, closing any parking on Day Street to allow for emergency vehicles.
All right.
We'll do that for
So
next.
we should scratch the stage being erected on Temple Street?
No, we're gonna close Temple.
Okay.
We decided we would do that. Correct? We're good? Okay.
Yep.
Bagging of parking meters, number 5, bagging of parking meters as no parking on the aforementioned streets to be closed at 5 p.m. for loading and unloading of musicians, vendors, and small business revolution crews. 6, suspending the open container law within East Barker Commons and throughout the village in front of establishments participating in the rally to allow wineries to operate near the park from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. and festival participants to be outside on the sidewalks in front of participating establishments. List of participating establishments is attached to request letter. Small Business Revolution Committee will provide cleanup assistance in the park after the rally. Number 7, trash receptacles, barrels to be put throughout East Barker Common Park and in front of taverns on Water Street and Main Street to serve as virtual boundaries for alcohol. No glass containers will be permitted outside the doors of any establishment. 8, closing the alleyway, parking lot driveway between DeJohn's and Ellicott Brewery Company and from Water Street to Mudslingers in the west, or in the east alley, east parking lot. Be it further resolved that the above use of Barker Common and street closings are subject to the direction of the Fredonia Police Department and the Department of Public Works. And be it further resolved that the Fredonia Fire Department and Fredonia Police Department be notified of the above closings. And be it further resolved that this resolution is subject to the receipt by the village of a certificate of insurance from Festival Fredonia and Chautauqua County Chamber of Commerce and liquor legal liability rider from any participating beverage provider, naming the village of Fredonia as an additional insured in the amount of at least $1 million and subject to all village code requirements.
I will second the resolution.
Been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Britz?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Carried. We have 2 more.
Be it resolved that Tyler Close, 5 Johnson Street, Fredonia, New York, is hereby appointed as a full-time firefighter EMT with the Village of Fredonia Fire Department effective February 16th, 2020, at the rate of $20.20 per hour and will serve a probationary term of 18 months in compliance with all applicable civil service rules and regulations.
I'll second that.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Britz?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Carried.
Be resolved that Thomas Gustafson, 67 Pullman Street, Brockton, New York, is hereby appointed as a full-time firefighter EMT with the Village of Fredonia Fire Department, effective February 17th, 2020, at a rate of $20.20 per hour, and will serve a probationary term of 18 months in compliance with all applicable civil service rules and regulations.
I will second the resolution.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Trustee Christina? Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Britz?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Carried. Can I have a motion for,
Either no further business before the board, I make a motion to close.
Second.
It's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Brits?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?